Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Well, if you're new here, I would love you to hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification bell so you can see exactly when a new video is up. So today we have come to Southwold, one of my favourite resorts here on the Suffolk coast, and on a beautiful day, well, you can see why. So we're going to be doing the full tour as always, checking out the seafront here in Southwold, walking through the town, checking out the pier, the famous Southwold lighthouse, and also taking you down to Southwold Harbour too. So let's go. These are the famous beach huts here, as you can see. They're really kept well and painted up nicely. I say they're famous, and they're famous for good reason actually. How much do you think it would be to buy one of these? Exactly. Some of these are just crazy money. So from this side you can see they all have little windows on the back as well. It's got some nice boats in there. Having a look to one that's being done up here, you can see why they're really expensive. I mean, look at the view that you get. Also keeping up with the Joneses, making sure that yours is painted nicely. The other day I was down here and, well, I couldn't film just because it was so busy down here. Most of these have like a little kitchen inside them. I don't think you can stay in them overnight. And some of them have some really lovely little names. Gallon there, The Gap. And they all have their own unique character. So I've come down on a quieter day during the week where there's less people. Still some of them enjoying their beach huts. Just over here as well is the Southwold model yacht pond. In fact, they've got a couple of these. There's one further down the seafront which we'll take a look at as well. And you'll find a lot of swans around here. We've been so lucky with the weather today. Literally over there you can see how big those thunderstorms are. And over Southwold, well, we've got lovely sunshine. So pretty obviously, this is Southwold Pier. Now, I love this pier. It is so unique. We'll come to why in just a second. Up here, they were going to build a bit of a hotel, which never happened, unfortunately. The reason why this pier is so unique is because of some of the weird things it has on the end of the pier. Here is just some of the photos of some of the games that you can play. They're really bizarre. They don't cost hardly anything to play. The most weirdest things. You can pretend to walk a dog. That bathyscape is like really strange and it looks really scary, but when you go inside you'll notice it's not that bad. Micro break there where you can sit down in a comfy chair and watch an old film. It is great. These things along here with the solar panels, they actually move the Southwold Pier sign up and down, which is quite unique, and a great mural on the back of the pier from a local artist as well. So there's plenty more of these beach huts. In fact, as you can see, they just keep going on and on and on. I love the beach here in Southwold. Previous years it was a blue flag beach, so the water quality and the sand is amazing. We're walking up here to the world famous Southwold Lighthouse. Now again, steeped in history, but some interesting history from my side is this is where I decided for charity to do an abseil. Yes, embarrassing photo. If you think that's embarrassing, this one's even worse. I know. And you'll notice in Southwold there's some really quirky buildings, some beautiful houses as well. That's really random. Douglas House. If anyone wants to tell me what that's all about, please let me know in the comments. So I'm just going to leave the seafront behind for a second. We're going to walk into the heart of Southwold. Of course, the home to Adnams Brewery. Some beautiful little boutique shops and eateries. And loads of these really beautiful little pubs. And compared to places like Great Yarmouth and Lowestoft, you'll find a lot of boutique shops and actually designer brand shops in here as well. If you ever want to come and get some fresh ice cream, I really do recommend this place for your fresh gelato. and amazing chocolates in there. In fact, on a very busy day, you'll find people queuing all the way down here. This is my favourite little fish and chip shop, and as always in Southwold, it's quite classy. You can even get your wine and your Adnams beer in there. And some famous buildings in Southwold, which you might see in certain films. In fact, the White Swan was in the movie David Copperfield. And just checking out this is the oldest shop in town. It's over 300 years old. And some people might talk about amber from Southwold. This is the world famous amber shop. It's Britain's largest and oldest amber specialist shop. You can even buy some here as well. Love the boutique shops here in Southwold. This is one of my favourite bakeries and delicatessens to come to when I'm in Southwold. And just like looking at these shops, just look at the detailing that's gone into the sign here, all these little windmills. And like most seaside resorts, Southwold is dealing with coronavirus very well, including one-way walking in the high street. So what I love about Southwold, you're walking around and you see the glimpses of the lighthouse there. And you can imagine on a foggy night like it was last night, the night before, when we had a lot of sea fog coming in, it must have been really pretty just to be walking around. Again, I'm going to keep pointing these out because you see so many of these little cottages and they've all got these stickers in the window. Stay here. Stay here. And there are so many that you can come and stay in Southwold. You can stay in the heart of the town or you can stay on the seafront. Again, I was saying about how many times you'll see this sticker in so many different little cottages in Southwold. And I have to show you this, right, where Fat Face is, if you walk down this road here, you will come to a very tiny but really beautiful building, the Electric Picture Palace in Southwold. It's a 70-seat cinema. It was designed by a local architect and it was to recapture the experience of cinema going back in the 20th century. Definitely come here when it's open. So if we go back up there, that's the town centre. We're going to go this way now towards one of the most famous buildings here in Southwold. This gives you a little bit of a hint where we're going down here. A lot of people buying their beer, cider and gin. On the right here is Southwold Museum and just overlooked by the church here in Southwold. You can see more hints of where we're going right now with some of the smoke. And I tell you what, the smell around here is amazing. You can see here where the whiskey distillery is. You can see the old oak barrels there. Just really smells gorgeous around here. It's so nice. Look at those lovely little cottages down there. And as you know, this beer is pretty famous. An earliest records show the beer was brewed in Southwold as early as 1396, but Adnams didn't establish itself until 1872. Many of their beers are named after significant naval events as well, including the Battle of Solebay in 1672, which took place just off the coast of Southwold. And you'll notice how clean Southwold is, and there's a good reason for that. If you're caught littering, you'll get a £150 fine. This is also a famous place in Southwold. It's the Red Lion, which has been here for a very long time. They're serving takeaway drinks at the moment, and I was here at the weekend and literally this was absolutely packed. You couldn't move. People were clearly social distancing, but it just looked very busy. Yeah, definitely a lovely place to come and have a drink outside. A Pimm's maybe. So as we come away from the Southwold town area and as we walk up here back towards the beach, we're going to be heading down towards Southwold Harbour. Someone has got a very lovely house here. Look at that. The view they've got. Interestingly, that building there used to be a community radio station. Definitely a unique studio overlooking the North Sea. And there's more beach huts all the way down here as well, as we take a look in the far distance. Not sure if you can see it, just over there is the pier. And just poking through there is Southwold Lighthouse. And of course, the Red Lion and all those people enjoying a lovely drink. We're gonna walk down, a long walk, but don't worry, I'm gonna speed it up, down to Southwold Harbour. And on the way, we're gonna see some very unique houses that once again, you can actually rent. And just very quickly, just coming down to this little area here, come and get your teas and your coffees and your ice creams here at Gun Hill. So you can walk along this area here, or there is a road just down here. We're going to walk along the road just to see these unique houses. And these houses are so quirky. In fact, this one here reminds me of a fairy tale. I'll let you decide which fairy tale it could be out from. I'm thinking Hansel and Gretel myself. I was just saying how some of these you can actually book along here and everywhere in Southwold. Just look at that. And I think it's only right we have a little bit of a nose. I'm sure no one will moan if you wanted to book this one, what it looks like. Here's the bedroom. And you can see they've got amazing views over towards the river and the marshes beyond. It must be good, they've got 5 stars. It has its own chair, a nice balcony as well. I mean, I'd definitely stay here. I mean, all it needs now for me personally is a hot tub in the corner. Look at the view. That's definitely my cup of tea. The balcony, again, another great view. Love those ships in the window there. And as I said before, there was another yacht pond further down. This one, back in the day, used to be very popular. Looks a little bit sad for itself now. You can just see some of the old photos there as well. The guys and the girls and the kids look with their model boats. And I love this area up here. Feels very oldie worldy. And again, feels like we could actually be in America with this wooden house here. There is even a rocking chair on the porch. How amazing is that? Person who lives there, very lucky. And you can see in the distance there, Southwold Lighthouse and the town. You can just see how far of a walk this is. There is obviously a road that goes along here, but I wanted to give it a walk. And if you like to fish, this is a good spot to come actually. I see a lot of people doing fishing around here on the mouth to the harbour. As the river goes along there. Walk down there in just a little bit because there's some lovely little fish and chip places to go and get, from what I hear, a great portion of fish and chips. And it's the furthest we can go at Southwold Harbour. As you can see, it's really fallen into disrepair recently. And over there in the distance, you can see Southwold Pier. You can see Southwold Lighthouse, the church. And this area actually is a really lovely beach for the kids to come down to. The water kind of comes in here just a little bit. It's like almost like a little pool for them to play in. And what you can see in the distance there's a bit of a dome. That is Sizewell Power Station. And locals, and if you ask locals, they'll tell you that if you go swimming in the sea just behind the power station, which you shouldn't do actually, apparently the temperature of the water is a couple of degrees warmer. I also saw that on the Coast programme actually, so I think that is pretty true. Just there is Walberswick, And in fact, this bit here is very famous for crabbing. In fact, you can do crabbing pretty much all the way along here and up there towards the harbour as well, as we'll see in a minute as I walk back down there. Just look at those thunderstorms. I am so glad the weather's been kind to me today, because I checked the forecast and it said some heavy thunderstorms for the east coast, and as you look out to sea, well, there's nothing really, just a few clouds, but all the thunderstorms are definitely staying over there. Thanks. So just here is Southwold Harbour. You can see just over the river over there is Walberswick. People doing the crabbing. You can do crabbing all the way along here. This is an interesting building. It's home to Coastal Voyager, and they take you out onto the North Sea. Do some pretty fast trips actually out, and some gentle river cruises up the River Blythe as well. And just here, if you wanted to pop over to check out Walberswick, there's a ferry that normally runs here, obviously because of the coronavirus, all closed at the moment, but you can pop over there. I think there's a pub over there or somewhere you can go and have a drink. I love the smell of the seaweed. You just can't beat that smell, can you? And definitely a must if you're here in Southwold Harbour, the Sol Bay Fish Company. You can go and get your fresh seafood. There's a fish and chip shop there.
Yeah.
You can get deep fried oysters here as well, which is unique. And as is Southwold, it's quite classy. You can get your wines, your cider, and your Adnams beer as well. It's good to see here on the tables, you've got your sanitizer, you've got your salt and your vinegar as well. So you can't not come and get some fresh fish and chips. Just look at that. What else? Got some chips in here as well. Batter sausage. Good old chunky chips too. Not bad. How cool are these tiny little sheds? Brightly coloured painted doors as well. This point here is known as Ness Point, which is the most easterliest point in the UK. If you stand on this spot, which is what I'm about to do now, well, obviously over there probably. And as we look up to what you can see for miles, and is officially the tallest wind turbine in the UK, known as Gulliver. In the very distance over there, you can see Great Yarmouth Power Station, obviously Galston as well, and Corton. This is quite interesting. If you look down, you can see some little footnotes of where you're actually looking. So Oslo, 619 miles that way. The summer solstice sunrise. A lot of people come here actually. Is it June the 21st? The longest day of the year, to experience the sun rising over there, to be here at the most easterliest point. So it's the first point in the UK that gets that sunrise on the longest day of the year. Helsinki's 1,038 miles that way. And let's just keep going round. Amsterdam, 133 miles away. Our closest international airport is actually Amsterdam. So rather than going to Stansted or Gatwick, our closest one is over in Amsterdam. Budapest, 841 miles from this point. And as we start looking a little bit south, Monte Carlo, look, 668 miles over there. It's really fascinating to come down here and stand and look directly into all these places. Madrid from this point, 873 miles, and Gibraltar. And of course down to London, 106 miles in that direction. So as always on this tour, we're going to do a full tour of Lowestoft. We're going to start right at the top of the town centre, along the high street. We're going to walk down towards the beach, check out the 2 piers they've got here in Lowestoft, and also its famous blue flag beach as well. A lot of people come up here and do a bit of fishing. You can see some fishermen along there. And it's really weird, standing underneath this, it sounds like there's a plane going over. Obviously it's the blades cutting through the air. So just before we start the tour, I just thought I'd make a trip here to the Maritime Museum. Lowestoft has a deep fishing history, and it's well worth taking a look. Also, this is the Sparrow's Nest Bowling Club, which is the most easterly bowling club in the UK. And just up there, you can see Lowestoft Lighthouse. So we're starting off at the top part of the town here in Lowestoft. Just thought I'd point this out. A lot of people probably don't even realise that the sign for Lowestoft is actually here, just opposite the petrol station. There's also a lot of history in Lowestoft. Again, the scores of Lowestoft, again, I could tell you stories about that another time, and also the fishing past as well. They used to compete with Yarmouth actually to become the biggest importer of fish as well. So again, a lot of history. Obviously, again, if you did want to do a historic tour of Lowestoft, there's all these signposts dotted around. The Maritime Museum that I mentioned there, also Lowestoft Lighthouse, the High Street, and of course the Marina Theatre. I mean, you only have to look carefully just to see some of these really fascinating old buildings, and I don't know if you can see that, some old signage as well. So this house just here is actually the town's oldest house, with parts of it dating back from the 15th century. Amazing. Again, you can see a lot of the history still actually written on the walls. Just over there, look, the Town Hall stores, established 1837. So it's definitely well worth a walk down here towards what is called the Triangle in Lowestoft, where they used to hold markets. There's something you don't see every day. Only in Lowestoft. Now you'll see lots of these areas called scores, and there used to be little runways down towards the fishing boats, and they all have very interesting tales to tell. So these are definitely worth checking out as you come up and down this road. And again, you see one of these little plaques on the walls just to show off this Flint house here, which is owned by the Wild family. They were merchants and philanthropists. You can see their initials just above the door here. Look at that. 1586. So as we walk down here towards the south, we're actually walking through the core of Lowestoft's medieval settlement, which was dated back from the 13th century onwards. So up here is the Triangle Market, which hasn't been so successful in the last 10 years or so as it was when it was first opened up. So we leave the old part of Lowestoft behind, and as you cross over the road here, you come down to the main shopping area, which is basically a big strip all the way down towards the beach, and over a very interesting bridge as well, which we'll come to. And as I walk past this area here, always does remind me of the Queen Vic in EastEnders. And this beautiful Victorian building known as the Marina Theatre here in Lowestoft, which is also a cinema as well. Had some great shows here, the Moscow City Ballet, the Russian Ice Stars, Jane McDonald, Mumford & Sons, Tony Christie, David Essex, and also Darren Brown too. So a great place to come if you want a night out, if you're staying around the area. And as we come down to the bottom here, yes, it's a train station. It's Britain's most easterliest train station, and a sign that looks like it's been there forever. And I just wanted to make reference to this building here. It's pretty old, had a facelift recently. You can see the mural on the side, and also home to a lot of seagulls. And if you do ever walk over the Bastille Bridge, it's quite weird when cars go over, because you feel the vibrations and everything, and you feel like the bridge is going to collapse. So just coming up to this area, this is the Royal Plain Fountains, which is a bit of a must-see. The fountains consist of 74 individual water jets. The kids love it in the summer. Obviously, due to coronavirus, it's not actually currently on. So this is the first pier we're coming up to, the South Pier in Lowestoft, and just here is the Royal Norfolk and Suffolk Yacht Club. There's a little place there to get some ice creams. And if you come down past the South Pier, you come to this unique little beach, which is actually really perfect for young children and families to come along to. You can see these rock berms that they added in the last few years as well, because a lot of erosion has been happening in Lowestoft. So just there in the distance, you can see Lowestoft's second pier. That's the Claremont Pier, and more of the rocks that they've added in the last few years too. So walking up to the end of what is, I guess, a jetty and the mouth to the river coming into Lowestoft as well, you can see the wind turbine Gulliver in the distance and some steps that go to nowhere. So what these rock berms have actually done is created little bays, which has made the erosion stop, and obviously create some nice safe little beaches for the kids to come and paddle out in the water. Obviously the temperature of the water as well within the bays is a little bit warmer than the cold North Sea further out. Up there is the famous Blue Flag Beach. And Lowestoft doesn't really have many attractions along its seafront, just a few tea rooms. In the summer you'll find a fair that comes on here on the Royal Green, and those people that have come to Lowestoft in the past might remember about the Lowestoft Air Show, which was a fabulous 2-day event. Used to bring thousands of people here, used to pump hundreds of thousands into the local economy, but unfortunately that all stopped, so which was a shame, because I used to love coming down here in the summer. Great atmosphere. They used to have fireworks as well. This area here is always very busy for donuts and the tea rooms and the fish and chip shops along here, to go and grab yourself fish and chips. Not currently open at the moment, but this is one of my favourite tea rooms to come into in Lowestoft when it's a lovely day, and sitting there in the garden checking out the view. So this has gone through some transformations as well. Used to be a nightclub, Turkish restaurants. They used to do some great outside entertainment there in the summer as well. It's now up for let. So if anyone wants a nightclub opportunity, or maybe a restaurant here on the seafront, I mean, you can imagine actually how good that would probably look. Just wanted to point out, look at how perfect and straight and in line those chimneys are. And this is why I love coming to Lowestoft, especially on a day like today. Literally check out the beach. Now I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments whether I'm right or wrong, but the Blue Flag Beach is literally on the other side of the pier. But again, this is just as nice. Bearing in mind we're still in lockdown, kind of at the moment. It's a very busy day on the beach. So flip-flops are off. I've got to check the water. Bit cold as always when you first go in, but yeah, get used to it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Again, social distancing on this beach is certainly not a problem. You can see all the old Victorian buildings as well, standing proud along the seafront there. Yeah, definitely recommend coming to Lowestoft. If nothing else, it's got one of my favourite beaches on the East Coast. You'll probably hear me saying that a lot, actually. I have to say that every beach I go to is one of my favourites in some way or another. But the best thing about them is they're all unique. They all have their own little quirks and all feel completely and utterly different. And just coming up here to Claremont Pier, I was lucky enough to do some commentary one year for the air show, and this is where we used to sit with the pilots, especially when the red arrows used to fly over. We had such an amazing view. And one year, obviously, I worked for the local radio station here on the East Coast. We held a little bit of a beach party down here on the beach. Again, so many fond memories. Claremont Pier's got some roller skating in there, and it's got a club along the top. I believe it's just been sold to a new buyer as well. If you ever wanted to come and see where the seagulls live here in Lowestoft, there's many places, but you'll find a lot of them all under here as well. I just hope I don't get pooed on. See their box in the air there. Do you know what? I've never actually seen a baby seagull. Just trying to look out for one now. So this bit is the Blue Flag Beach here in Lowestoft. You can see the beach huts all along the top there as well. I can't believe how busy it is actually today. It's got lovely sand quality as well here on the beach, just like Galston Beach actually. It's really lovely and soft. Water quality is really good too.